Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema every week, watches things and rates them out of 5, stays at home, watches things on various streaming platforms, rates them out of 5, puts them up against each other and sees where money has been better spent this week. My name is Tosin and I'm the host, based up in Bromsgrove in the middle of the United Kingdom. And joining me on the Isle of Wight is Shaun Harris.
Hello there.
And this is the second week in a row, Shaun, where it's like, it's one of those things where we have to stop meeting like this, or should we continue meeting like this? Because it is the second week where we have just the two of us, because Sharon and Holly, who are our usual co-hosts, have been taken. Well, Holly, because she's going around having a social life. Yeah, honestly, I cannot believe that woman. I cannot believe that woman and her lack of dedication by having a social life. Lack of dedication to the podcast. And Sharon, because she's gone off and had a holiday or something like that. Yeah, both things that I have long said goodbye to.
They'll come back. Don't worry.
They'll come back. They'll come back because you are joining me in the middle of domestic bliss. You might even hear a washing machine going off in the background, and you will also hear beside me. You will hear the sound of a little 1-year-old enjoying her dinner quite well. So if you hear or anything like that, that's not me. That is my 1-year-old daughter enjoying her dinner, which I'm taking as a compliment. So we have to move quickly because Shaun, you have to get going somewhere.
I do. Yeah.
And this week, we are helped in having to go quickly by the fact that we are still in the middle of this trickle in cinemas where things are just trickling in. It doesn't seem to be like Well, I feel like there have been 3 films released in cinema in the past 2 weeks or something like that, like 3 new films that have been. And I was actually, when we were talking about what films we'd seen this week, and there's the one that I want to watch is a film called The Substance with Demi Moore. Yeah. And I was like, I was about ready to go, okay, I want to have a new section of the show where it's like films we would have reviewed, but we couldn't find them anywhere because The Substance, as intriguing as it sounds, that film doesn't seem to be out widely. I mean, you said you found it, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's strange how things go, because some films come randomly. You'll think, and then the ones that are advertised or that you're interested in, and there's like, where's that gone?
Yeah,
where's that? I mean, I'm lucky enough that I do occasionally go over on a weekend, go over to Bournemouth, and they seem to have in the City World at Poole, they seem to have quite a decent selection. I've seen some good films. So.
Yeah. Like for instance, Poole, because Poole's a university's town. It's a university town, so I fully expect that in Poole they would have The Substance because that sounds like a very university town film.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a very university town, like the kind of thing where, film study students can say and go, oh, well, actually, you see, in that scene, they were referencing Cronenberg. Yeah. And what you don't know is that if you go and look at the German masters, and I feel like that's the kind of film that is, but it is intriguing, and it's a film that I think of all the ones that I've heard of recently, I would want to go. But things are getting weird. Like, for instance, one of the films that you have seen, and we would have reviewed today is Lee. Starring Lee. But we're not gonna review that today because Sharon, who is not here, should be back next week, and she's seen it, and so we want to have her take on that as well because
we do indeed.
There's an interesting conversation that we have brewing about Lee, and this is a film that. And okay, I talk about weird things happening with film release schedules. So Lee is a Sky Cinema movie. It's a Sky Cinema movie that is in cinemas for a short while. But I'm like, I don't want to go watch it in the cinema because I'm like, it's going to be on Sky in like 3 weeks. So I don't know exactly when it's being released on Sky, but I wouldn't be surprised if by the time Sharon is back next week. So this is a film that was released last week or 2 weeks ago.
Last week. I think 2 weeks ago. No, you're right, Toes. I think 2 weeks ago, yeah.
It was released 2 weeks ago as we were recording. And by the time Sharon comes back and we review it next week, I might have already seen this thing at home on my TV.
I didn't realize it was on streaming so quick. I didn't realize that.
They're getting stupidly quicker. They're getting stupidly quicker. And I feel like what happened is, I feel like with this film, it seems, having never made a film before and just only haven't heard about it, and people having to raise money to make films because films are expensive to make, that it's getting harder to raise money to make films. And I feel like what happens is someone like Sky will put the money up and say, okay, fine, yeah, but we want this thing and they have to negotiate. It's like, oh, can we go to the cinemas? Yeah, you can be in the cinemas for 2 days, and then we want this on the on the streaming platform. It's like there's a new George Clooney, Brad Pitt movie on Apple TV Plus called Wolves, and I don't even think that went to the cinema. No. It was George Clooney and Brad Pitt.
Oh, just 2 cinema. Yeah, wow.
And it's, so there's weird things going on there. But yeah, there's weird. I don't understand what's going on with the film release schedule at the moment. It just seems to be weird. It doesn't, and I long for the days where, I'm sure there were problems then as well, but the simplicity of gotta go watch this in the cinema because it's going to be in the cinema for 3 months, and after 3 months it's going to be there. Maybe after 4 months it'll come on TV somewhere. Yeah. There's a bit of me that longs for the simplicity because at the moment trying to figure out where things are is a bit of a nightmare. Sure.
Indeed, yes.
All right, but anyway, let's go on to what we are going to actually talk about in the cinema this week and what we're going to talk about. So, Shaun, you're representing cinema this week. I'm representing Netflix and Friends with something that I think you will like. But
cool.
But I think you will like. But tell me, so what was the other thing you saw in cinema this week?
Okay, the other thing I saw it was a secret screening. So,
yes,
this was a secret screening. So I think this is due to be released.
Yes,
and it was a film called Never Let Go.
Yes, the Halle Berry movie.
The Halle Berry movie, yes, indeed.
You see, and now this is the film right there. Okay, so Never Let Go. When you said that, I was like, "What? Has that been released yet?" Hang on, and I was confused because there was a bit of me that thought this was a Netflix movie. As I say, when I talk about it getting confusing as to what's being released, where I thought it was a Netflix movie, and they said it was Never Let Go. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. So that's in cinemas." And then I realized, okay, it's you got a preview screening. So tell us about Never Let Go.
Okay, Never Let Go. As I say, and it is going to be on. I've seen it is on next week, so it's on at the cinemas next week. Okay, stuff. Never Let Go. So with these secret screenings, you never really know what to expect. So I was quite surprised because this I think is quite mainstream film. Normally some of the like we saw what was the other ones like Cuckoo. So but this is obviously a mainstream film.
The Finnish one with the egg.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. No, that was a different one. The one
that was a different one. But I meant you saw Cuckoo, but you also saw the Finnish one with the egg.
Yeah, that's
Hatched
it.
Or something like that.
Yeah, Hatch. That was it. Hatch. Yeah, and the other one that was really violent.
In a Violent Nature.
In a Violent Nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so this was Never Let Go. So it was quite pleasing. I thought because me with these sort of horror films, I'm generally really skeptical. I'm waiting to see a good one, getting to see a decent one, whatever. Yes. So basically, the story is this cabin in the woods, and this mother is looking after 2 sons. She's got 2 sons, and from what you can gather, there's like it's you don't know what's happened. There's some world. She's told them that the world is a horrible place, and the only thing out there is evil. Yeah. And they must stay in this home, and they have to touch the home, and they can go exploring because obviously they need food, but they must always have this rope. Never let go of the rope because there's evil lurking in the woods. There's evil just waiting to get them. So it's very claustrophobic. She shuts them in cupboards. She reminds me a little bit. I don't know. Have you ever seen the Carrie movies? The first Carrie movie. She reminds me a bit of the mother and that. The mother, obsessed and a bit psychotic. So anyway, and also
obsessed. You wonder about the mental state.
You wonder about the mental state. Now, you think, and I think this is really good. So there's a few sort of body horror bits in it, but you're never really sure if it's just in imagination or with. And this film, so basically that's the story. She's looking after her 2 sons. She's taught them all these prayers. She's all the evils out there. And when she's actually out on the porch or somewhere sitting where these horrible apparitions or creatures sort of appear, which is I guess like the horror side of it. So I'm not going to give away too many spoilers here because it's worth. So you can imagine what happens. They go out exploring. They're after food. Some nasty things happen.
Yeah, because the thing with this is this has a very effective trailer. It has a very effective trailer that sets up the film and makes you go, okay, what's going to happen next? So it does. Yes. I feel like the trailer does well in not spoiling the film.
Yeah.
It sets it up without spoiling it. Yeah.
And what's really good with this as well, what I liked is you're questioning it. You know what I mean? Now, is this now? I like these sort of movies. I don't think it's got particularly good reviews. This, but to me, I find this intriguing because you just don't know. You've got it there. It's like The Innocents. It's like.
It's like what?
Like Babadook. Like Babadook.
Like, are they dead? Are they alive? Is it in their mind? Is it actually theirs?
Yeah. So, and you've got one of the sons. One of the sons is a little bit skeptical, a little bit. You know what I mean? He's thinking himself, and then you've got one who is totally with his mum on this. Totally. Oh, it's evil. So you've got the and then I'm not going to give away any spoilers at the end, but someone comes in. Is it real? Is it imagination? Or
well, okay. Without giving away any spoilers or anything like that, but it does sound, Shaun, like you liked this, or you got on with this better than most recent horror movies.
I did get on better with this rather than most horrors. I thought it was very done. And Halle Berry, I'll give her a due. She was, she was good in this. I mean, can be. She's,
Well, Halle Berry is someone who I think she's a brilliant actress. I think she's a brilliant actress, but she's one of those people who, because of what she looks like, and I will hold my hands up. I mean, I remember being in Nigeria and Halle Berry coming out, and I was me and a whole bunch of, probably most of Nigeria were in one of the most beautiful women in the world. Absolutely brilliant. And I feel like because of that, she didn't really get chances because she was a model and everything like that.
Yeah.
She never really got meaty stuff to do because people wanted to hire her, and they wanted to hire her in the Flintstones movie and make a joke and call her Sharon Stone because of what she looked like. Mm-hmm. And a lot of her stuff is because of what she looked like. And then every now and then, she manages to break out of that and give you a performance that makes you go, damn!
This performance is really good. And I have to say the two lads were good as well.
Yeah.
They were, because sometimes you can, yeah. And to me, I mean, obviously things from a personal point of view. As I say, the horror side of it, and there was a little bit of creepiness with some nasty, creatures and things in it. So if people want to go and see that, it's there.
Yeah.
But was it imagination? Is it imagination? Is it just the paranoia, And all the time through that. And I really had to digest this film, and that's really good for me when it comes to horror. I just have to think, I like the way it was done, because there's bits where it becomes, it's not real, and then it goes back to, maybe it is, maybe there is the evil. So it worked. It worked for me. I didn't dislike this film at all. I thought it was far superior than a lot of the secret screenings that I've seen before. So and I would give this a high 3. I'll give this a really high 3.
A high 3. Okay, for those of you who might be listening to us for the first time, or maybe you haven't encountered Shaun reviewing a horror movie before, that's high praise from Shaun.
That is high praise.
because Shaun, I mean, usually it's like, I think it's horror movies, especially if they have one-word titles. I don't know why there's something about the one-word title horror movies. Absolute nonsense. This is a load of gubbins. It's like, all right, okay, cool. So, very, very high 3 stars for Never Let Go, representing the cinema side of things tonight. And I'm going to come from the Netflix and Friends side of things. And I remember, because we have been doing this podcast now, oh my God, I think 6 years. We've been going for about 6 years. And I remember when we first started, and you, Shaun, you took it upon yourself to say, okay, we're going to say Netflix or cinema. I want to go watch some Netflix original movies. And you went to watch Netflix original movies. And for a long time, you had a theory going that Netflix original movies are rubbish. Like, what they do is they just go to a director and they say, we'll give you all this money, go make your film. And they don't even keep an eye on the director. They don't even check to see what this person has done. There's no supervision. They just end up making this over bloated nonsense. And I think I found a Netflix film, Shaun, that you would like. This is like right up your alley. So it's a film called Rebel Ridge, and it's directed by a guy called Jeremy Saulnier, who directed Green Room if you remember the film Green Room, and he directed Green Room and he directed Blue Ruin. And Green Room, you remember that's the one about the band where they end up playing for a bunch of Nazis.
Yes.
Yeah, he directed that. And this film, it is okay. It starts off right. It kicks off and you have this guy he's on a bicycle. And he's just cycling his bicycle like on this sort of dirt road, and it looks like a Southern American town, that kind of thing. You know the kind of place where you have like a bridge over the creek and everything like that. And he's cycling on the bike, and he has some Bluetooth headsets in, and you start on his face, and then the sort of like camera pulls out, and as you pull out, you realize, I should say he's a black man, and as the camera pulls out, you realize that there's a police car behind him, and the police car is sort of weaving back and forth behind him. And then the police car just hits him and knocks him off the bike. And that is like, I'm telling you, this is the first minute of the film. That's the first minute of the film. Ooh. Police car hits him, knocks him off the bike. He falls on the floor, and then he's like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "You were evading arrest. We were trying to wave you down. We said that you should." And he's like, "No, I'm sorry. I didn't hear anything. And so they take him out. They sort of like search him and everything like that. They open up his bag, and there's this whole thing that goes on with. There's one guy on a bicycle and two policemen in patrol cars show up to deal with one guy on a bicycle. And they sit down and then they start taking things out of his bag and they say, "What's this here? What are you doing here? There's this bag. Is this drugs? Are you carrying drugs?" It's like, "No, it's not drugs." And then they're like, "Can we search it? Do we have..." And he's like, "You do not have my permission to search that." And then they're like, "Well, we're going to have to get a sniffer dog out to make sure that it isn't drugs." And then because of that, you can see that he's on time pressure. He's on time pressure and he's like, "Okay, fine. You can search it." They search the bag and they find that there's $36,000 in the bag. And they go, "What's this for then? What's this for?" He's like, "I need to go bail my cousin out of jail and I need to do it in the next hour. I need to bail my cousin out of jail in the next hour, and if I don't do it, it's going to be bad." And then they go, "No, we're seizing the money because we think that this might be related to drugs money." Yeah. And apparently it is, and that's legal. That is legal. Like,
they can do that, can they?
They can do that.
Oh my God.
And a big part of this film is like the police can do that. Like legally, you can do that. And so it becomes this whole thing where they take his money, and he's trying to get it back because he's trying to bail his cousin out. He's like, "Look, I need to bail my cousin out because I have real time pressure. My cousin's in danger if I don't bail him out." And as things go on, they take his money, and it shows that this is something that they've been doing to a whole bunch of people. But it turns out that this guy was in the Marines. This guy was in the Marines, and when they're trying to look up him, they find all these letters behind his name that they don't understand what they mean to begin with. They don't understand what these letters mean, but it turns out that this guy is kind of like Rambo. And then the film becomes, short, I'm telling you, it's like one of these, you know when you talk about a lean, muscly film that doesn't really have much fat on it?
Yes.
The first hour of this film is just kind of, and I think you would love it because everything is done in a, that makes sense.
Oh, right.
This is a plan.
To see this then.
He's like, "Okay, this is a plan I'm going to make. I'm going to make this plan. I'm going to do this. And the things happen and you're like, "Hang on a second, but if you do that, that's not going to..." Oh, hang on, they've thought about this. That works.
I like that.
And I think the first hour of this film is so tight. It's so good. I mean, when I sent a text to you saying, "Shaun, I think you like this film," it was during that first hour and I was like, "Oh my God." And I think later on, because the film has more on its mind and doesn't just want to be like, a revenge thriller or something like that. It doesn't just want to be an action movie. It's talking about corruption in the police. It's talking about what happens when you can just give the police sort of powers to do it. And it's doing all these sort of things. And it has Don Johnson as the sheriff. Don Johnson in the film was the sheriff. And Don Johnson this is the third role I have seen in the last couple of years of Don Johnson playing sort of American, probably police chief kind of official with possibly a racist bent. He did it in Django Unchained.
Django, yeah.
He did it in Watchmen, and now he's doing it again. And he's really good at doing it, but I'm like, Don, you might want to stop doing that. but honestly, I mean, the way this film goes, I feel like this film, it's almost kind of like, imagine if someone did an action movie, but they said everything has to make sense. Everything has to come to it. And there is one bit at the end, and there's a whole bunch of things where they explain the plan, they explain the plot, they explain what's going on. And there's bits of it where I think, okay, if I was in America, I might understand that bit a little bit more. And there is one bit at the end that I still don't fully understand why that happens. Where I'm like, okay. And it's one of those things where they might have explained it in the film. And this is why one of the things where I would like you to watch it, and I'd like you to sort of come back and let me know. Okay, I'm getting off the stage. I like you to watch it. I'd like you to let me know if you had the same issue I had with this one.
Right.
Where, like they have this bit like towards the end where I'm like, is that a bit convenient? Why would that? Okay, I guess if I think about it, I can imagine why that would, but I'm not sure the film makes that clear, and I'm not sure whether I was just being distracted by children. I'm not sure whether I just don't understand America enough or anything. But that bit was the only bit. But apart from that, I thought this was a brilliant film.
I might try and hunt this one out then.
Oh, it's on Netflix. It's just
right, okay, that's cool.
It's on Netflix, nice and simple. Yeah, Rebel Ridge. But I think you like it. I mean, Aaron Pierre, who plays the main character, he is good. He is just really, really believable.
Has he been in anything else? He's been in.
Oh, there was this film that he was in with Paul Mescal and Saoirse Ronan, about going away to the moon and mining. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it's on Amazon Prime. He was in a film called Brothers. He's a British actor, but honestly, he's kind of like really, really believable as an American. Like I think pretty much flawless as an American. But he's an up and comer, Aaron Pierre, and and the guy is just on it. He is just good in this film. It's like there's no one point where you're like, oh, I don't know about that. There's hardball dialogue. There's a Shaun, go watch it. Go tell me what you think.
I'll go watch it. Those.
I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's really, really good.
That's a must watch then.
Okay, and now we have Shaun, and we have to get rid. Shaun has to go quickly.
He does.
And so all I'm going to say is thank you for joining us today. Get in touch with us on YouTube, on Twitter. Let us know what you think. But until next week, when we shall see something, God knows what.
Yep.
Archie, we'll talk about Lee.
And hopefully talk about Lee. Yeah. Yeah, and if it is on the stream, how would it count? So say it comes on streaming, Toes, before when you get to see it on streaming. Is it going to be Netflix or is it going to be cinema? Or
I think I'm going to put it down in cinema because that's the first place we saw it, and quite frankly, but it's getting really, really confused.
Yes,
the film landscape is getting really confused.
I think Megalopolis is out.
Megalopolis.
Megalopolis. Yeah.
Megalopolis. That's it. Megalopolis. Francis Ford Coppola. Oh. Okay, I have to go look after a child. She's looking really tired now.
Yeah, and I've got to go as well. Thanks, mate.
Cool. And
see you later.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.